Hello everyone, that manga kid here to give my first impressions on Fireforce by Atsushi Ohkubo. This is a Kodansha release, which I believe has 17 volumes out currently, and it is ongoing. I own the first 6 volumes, I found them used. This is a series I've been intrigued by for a while. I have currently only read the first 3, so that will be what my thoughts are. My first impression thoughts are on only the first 3 volumes. But I really love Soul Eater. I've always loved Soul Eater, loved the anime, loved the manga, owned the whole manga, read it multiple times, watched the anime multiple times. But Fire Force is one that obviously started releasing a couple years ago. Very interested in it, never picked it up, never read a sample of it, nothing. And then it's always been on my radar. I found some guy in my city selling the first 6 volumes for really cheap and figured now's the time, I'll go grab it. If I like it enough, I'll, continue reading it. I had really high hopes for it. A lot of people have a lot of praise for it, and I love Atsushi Ohkubo and the art and the way that he writes. Like the atmosphere of his work, at least in Soul Eater, was so captivating, and it's so interesting and fascinating and very different from the world we live in that I was very excited for Fire Force because it seemed like that was going to be happening kind of in a similar way, is that the world, the setting, the characters, and everybody was going to kind of bring me into this world that is different than where I live. And I don't know if maybe I'm just not in the mood for it right now, or maybe I just had way too high expectations for it, but I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought I would, which is very disappointing. I don't hate it. I wouldn't even go so far as to say I dislike it, because I like it, but I'm just not hooked on it. When I read manga, if it's something that, as I read the first volume, or even just any volume, and I'm left with a feeling of I need more, that's when I know that I love something. Or if I end a volume and know that it's something I can't just binge read and that I want more, but I'm going to take a break and then I'll come back to it, that's another kind of sign. This didn't give me either of those feelings. This gave me, this is okay. And as I'm reading it, I'm going, yeah, this is enjoyable. But then I finish a volume and I have more volumes to read. I have 6 of them. And after each of these ones, I just felt like, well, I read that. Do I read the next one or do I go find something else to read? And usually the answer was, I'll go find something else to read. Because I just didn't have the energy to pick up another volume of Fire Force. Now, the story is about this kid here. I don't know his name, can't remember. Shinra, something like that. It's probably on the back. They live in a world where people are spontaneously combusting. Shinra, look at that, I got it. People are spontaneously combusting, and so there are these individuals who have special powers, and they can control fire in different ways. Shinra's feet catch on fire, so he can use that to his advantage. This guy uses his powers like to project into this sword situation. Anyway, they join the Fire Force and they help extinguish these combusted humans. Basically, they kill them. And so it's a larger conspiracy of why are these people combusting in this way? Who is causing this, if anybody? How is this happening? How can we stop it? How can we stop these people from dying? Because it's just people, everyday people are just randomly combusting, and now they have to come and kill these people, and now their families are sad and everyone's sad, but there's nothing they can do about it. And so, yeah, it's a bit of a larger conspiracy. And maybe I just don't connect with these characters. And I know that with Soul Eater, I connected with the characters instantly. And maybe it's just that I haven't connected with these characters enough to care about what's going on. I enjoy Shinra. He's quite fascinating. Um, and there's a couple other characters that I'm like, oh, you're cool, but I don't know enough about them, and I don't know that I care to, because you could argue, well, you're only 3 volumes in, and yes, that's true, but I feel like I should have more by this point, and the world is cool, the art is cool, um, but I don't know, it just isn't giving me enough. And I am going to continue to collect it, but it's definitely much farther down on my priority list than I thought it was going to be. Um, I yeah, I don't know. Maybe I've just outgrown. Like, there's a cool shot there. Maybe I've just outgrown this type of story, but I don't think that's the case because I'm reading some other shonen stories right now that I'm quite enjoying. And even though shonen is not my preferred demographic of manga to read, I do enjoy it typically if I know my tastes well enough, and I just thought I knew that this would be something I'd love, and I just don't love it yet. Um, and maybe it'll get to a point where I really, really, really love it, but it just isn't there yet. I'm not sure. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Fire Force if you have read it at all, or even watched the anime. To be honest, my brother's watching the anime and he's really loving it, and he has nothing but good things to say about it. Um, so he was really stoked when I started picking up the manga. But yeah, I'm a little lukewarm on this one, unfortunately. Honestly, while I'm reading it, all I'm thinking is I should go read Soul Eater. That's kind of where I'm at. I just want to reread Soul Eater. And so, yeah. I don't hate it. I understand why people do love it. It's fun and interesting and different, but maybe I'm just not in the mood for it. So I might have to sit on the other 3 volumes that I own for a while before I try to force myself to read them more and just dislike it. But yeah, sometimes things just come and go, and maybe it's not the time for me to be reading this right now. But I do still have hope for it. Like I said, if I find them for a good price, I'll pick them up. But it's not high on my priority list to be continuing this one at this point. So yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like I said, let me know your thoughts if you read it yourself. Yeah. See ya.